Yeah, it's thank you, Zozo team. So to begin with, I want to share. I'm sorry, just give me a moment. Okay, so yes, thank you so much all for joining. I can see right now, 55 delegates. More are joining. It's 4 o'clock already. Want to start on time. This is the 90-minute session. Uh, this is Ashish Gakre, founder of HR Shaper, and this webinar is brought to you by HR Shaper along with Zozo Day. Zozo Day and HR Shaper relationship is very old, and that was even before COVID. In the COVID, we did a series of employee engagement. When the COVID started, and that brought almost 50 to 60 global speaker and sharing the insight. Okay, so thanks once again, Zozo Day, for this opportunity and creating platform. Topic is very interesting, and we have dynamic HR speaker, HR leader, CHRO from a different industries, cities, and they have very rich experience. And I will read their profile very briefly, no doubt. Yeah. What we are saying is leveraging HR technology to design a more human way of work. I will stop sharing now. So more or less, we have been hearing high tech, high touch, human touch. Okay. No more. We are living in the world of digital disruption, digital fatigue, digital infrastructure, digital mindset, and all. Okay. And time has come when we are realizing, okay, how it can create more human touch and ensure that we should not lose some other way. Okay, we are not able to talk to the people, and people only talking to the machine is talking to machine. Before that, I like to, as I said, I like to give a thanks to Zozo Day, and I just want to introduce what is Zozo Day. I want to run one video also. Yeah, Mary is from Zozo Day, but Mary will be participating in the panel discussion. So thank you, Mary. So what is Zozo Day? If many of you must have seen, very leading employee engagement platform and all. But let me read out. Zozo Day, their mission is to put human motivation at the center of business growth through technology. And they deeply understand the motivation and engagement drivers of people, be it sales, channel partner, gig worker, consumer. They bring simplicity, continuity to a complex, everyday problem of human motivation. Here, I like to share that, they are coming up with the employee engagement, I would call it tool, and I would leave it up to Mary to let us know what is that. But here is one line statement, two-line statement. It's about the impulse. Impulse help people leader use a holistic approach for employee engagement to drive business growth. And they build Impulse as an integrated platform for organization to build a people-first culture through connection, alignment, empowerment, and motivation. There is a one video which I want to run it right now. Then we'll start. Where is YouTube? Okay, here it is. Okay, it's taking time to open up. Just give me a. Okay, I got it. Okay, so it's opening up.
Efficient organizations are built with motivated. Efficient organizations are built with motivated and purpose-driven employees. Employees need clarity, growth, and motivation to perform at their best. And people managers understand and aim to provide the same. Challenges are many, and solutions exist in silos. A multitude of disconnected solutions lead to complex implementation and low adoption. Enter Impulse, a holistic solution for all your employee engagement needs. Connect, align, empower, and motivate your employees to build high-performance teams. Gather feedback, identify improvement areas, and take corrective action, all through one common platform. And with seamless integrations available with your existing work systems, getting started is a breeze. ZozoDay Impulse is designed for employees and people managers with the principles of the Deming cycle for continuous feedback and continuous improvement at its core. For employees, Impulse makes the workplace vibrant and connected, with continuous feedback, recognition, and perks. Managers can get a real-time pulse of their teams and take actions to move the teams forward. HR can listen to employees and uncover risks and opportunities to make a better workplace. CXOs can get visibility into organizational health and make right people decisions to drive better business results. Configure Impulse to suit your organizational structure. Whether you are a growing startup or an enterprise, build a truly engaged employee experience with Impulse.
Okay, so build a truly employee engagement experience. Okay, there is one more announcement, then we can start. I know all the panelists, they are waiting for a panel discussion. As you know, HR Shaper keep bringing a lot of global speaker as well. And there is a next seminar. The next global webinar is going to happen on 6th October. Okay. And we have a speaker from Wharton School, and he's very famous, and he has written one book which is differently titled as the future of the office. Normally we are talking about future of work. Okay, so I will share the registration link also, not the Zoom link, but Google registration. Zoom link yet to created. Please register through Google link, and then I will share the confirmation mail later on as soon as Zoom link is created. Thank you so much. Okay, so here we are with the 4 speaker right now. I'm still waiting for one more speaker to join. So let me introduce Sakar. Okay, Sakar is India head and HR head, and Sakar is one of those in the panelists who coming from the technology background actually. And Sakar, we would love to hear your experience of non-HR. You know, how does it happen and all. So he has a almost, you know, I would call it 21 year, more than 20-year experience. Previous company worked in American Express, GE, and GE he was CEO of one of the business which is called Innovation Center. CA, then he moved to CA, worked for 11 years, again technology role. Then next employer was BNY, and he is there in BMC since 2020. So that was Sakar for us. I go to next speaker is dear friend Harjeet. He is the role model for many of us. Nobody misses, LinkedIn post, which is liked and shared by thousand people. Total 25 year of experience. Currently, is working with Reliance Jio as a SVP HR. Previous company he worked with Tata Motors, Nicholas Piramal, Reliance Retail, Anthelo in between, then Jio since 2012. Next speaker, I go to Dharam Rakshit. Dharam, if I'm able to pronounce your name, Dharma Rakshit. Yes, he's the HR head for Hero MotoCorp. Total 27 year of experience, 25 plus year experience. Previous company worked in SL Mining, Tata Steel, Hindustan Coca-Cola, Mondelez, Godrej, L&T, and he is there with Hero MotoCorp since 2017. So these are the speakers. One is yet to join, Sudeshna Bhattacharya. If she is able to join, then we'll continue with the rest of the formalities for her. Thank you so much. Uh, okay, so I'm going to share the format of the panel discussion, how it is going to be for the next 80 minutes now. Uh, there'll be a question answer round up session. But before that, we just want 1 or 2 minutes from each one of you what you feel about overall. Okay, because this topic is very specific to the HR technology, but we want you to start with your general view about HR and what message you want to give in next 60 to 80 minutes. Just 1 or 2 minutes opening remark. Then we'll start with Q&A round, and this can be with anything, anything you like to share. So we have diversity in the panel. Let me start with Mary.
Good afternoon, everyone. So great to join you all today. And it's going to be an exciting session because it's about how technology is going to shape the future of work and how HR benefits from all of this. And in my opinion, I think the pandemic was both a boon and a bane because we have all changed positively. We have changed to accept a lot of things which we weren't accepting before the pandemic. And I think one of those changes is how we are going digital, but accepting technology that comes with a human touch. And I think that's what we are going to explore in this panel discussion. And I'm looking forward to great insights from each one of us.
Thank you, Mary. Can I go to Sakar?
Thank you, Ashish. First of all, thank you for inviting me to this panel discussion. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be in this esteemed company with Mary, Harjeet, and Dharm. My opening thoughts, Ashish, there has always been this debate about, will technology and digitization eliminate the human touch? And the only thing which I want to say, and I look forward to the views from the other panelists also, is that companies should leverage technology because that's the future, that's where efficiency lies. But we should leverage technology so that we can enhance the human touch. And I always tell my people that artificial intelligence is good, but artificial intelligence can never replace cognitive intelligence. It can only enhance cognitive intelligence. And that's what I look forward to hearing from all of my fellow panelists.
Thanks, Sakar. Somebody said artificial intelligence, about artificial intelligence, it's only artificial. Intelligence will remain intelligence. Okay, can I go to Dharam? Dharam, how do you pronounce this? Dharam?
I pronounce it Dharm. So my full name is Dharm Rakshit. The person who has been saved by religion, not the person who saves religion. That is the first kind of a thing. So thank you, Ashish, for inviting me to this very program. So the moment you announced that this program is there, I was really excited because there was something, the two aspects we are going to deal. The one aspect when we are going to deal with the technology at the same time, we are also not going to forget this technology is being developed for whom? That is a human. So the human touch is always there. Okay, so both goes hands in hand. So I'm extremely happy to be in the safe custody of the Sakar, Harjeet, and Mary also. And I am also looking for great insights from this very program. So a couple of things which comes to my mind because we are ever evolving, kind of the human race is ever evolving. So, from the Homo sapiens to you see this thing today, what you see this thing, what we are today, and our desire of to further advancement and further evolution that has always brought the technology always there. So when I remember this thing, the first kind of a technological intervention happened when the human being discovered the will and they also be able to how to domesticate the fire. That was two better. The interventions happened in the very early stage of.
Did we lost him?
Yeah, I think we can't hear Dharm.
Dharma, can you check audio at your end? Suddenly it just got muted.
You're not audible, Dharm.
No, it's still not audible. No, no.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. Can we come back to you by the time Harjeet can do the intro?
So I think I will tell you a story.
Yes, sir. Most welcome.
So I saw that my dad used to buy vegetables. He used to go and buy vegetables. And I asked him once how much time it takes to go to market. So he said 30 minutes. I go walking. And so he said, why don't you buy a bike? So he said, no, I don't need a bike. But I bought him a bike. I said, this is the bike and you have to use it. So now you can actually, instead of walking over for 30 minutes, I thought now he will take hardly 4 or 5 minutes to reach there. And that would be good. And I told my mother that make sure that he takes the bike with him. So she said, yeah, I'm taking care. And then I asked him how much time it takes. He said it takes 45 minutes. Because he was taking the bike with him rather than sitting on the bike and driving the bike. That is our relationship with technology. Someone tells us use technology. So we say, okay, we will use technology. So instead of technology creating a speed for us, we actually take technology as a burden. And when we take it as a burden, it increases the time or it reduces the efficiency which we want to bring through technology. That are my opening thoughts.
Thank you. Dharma, would you like to do the check now? Thank you, Ajit. That was really wonderful. HRMS is one of the biggest example. Now we are really want HRMS, but before COVID, it was considered as a burden. Thanks. Dharma, would you like to do audio check?
Am I audible now?
Yes, you are. Please carry on.
Yeah, sorry. So I think there was some kind of technical glitch and which actually interfered in the human touch kind of a things, and I missed the touch. Okay. So what I was trying to refer, because see this thing, the technology advancement is always the way of life. That is a very, very inbuilt, the way we have evolved. Only thing what I feel this thing currently, what's happening, interestingly, what is happening, that the pace of technology has increased very much. And somewhere what the Harjeet was mentioning about whether we are able to cope up with that kind of the pace, that is another challenge which is coming to us. So these are my opening remarks, okay? But while the entire thing is happening, okay, the one side the technological evolutions are happening, and second thing the humans are also evolving, and there has to be intersection in between, so that we don't become the technology doesn't become the burden to us, and we also do not become the burden to the technology. Thanks, Ashish. Over to you.
Thank you. Thanks for this first round of sharing thought. Okay, that was quick views. Okay, I read somewhere that some kind of sensor will come when it will tell you what's your weight. You don't need to go and check it out separately. Even though if you are carrying a mobile, and mobile you can see, okay, this much your weight is 80, 90 and all, right? Or it may be through some sensor, inbuilt sensor, and we have seen that inbuilt sensor is going to be part of the body in future. Sooner or later is going to happen. In some country already started. Great. I'm starting first round of Q&A, and so this is this will go like this. There will be a sequence of the question which will be asked, and that will go to in a sequence, Dharam, Sakar, Harjeet, and Mary. Okay, so here, something we talk about the connection. It's always said, connection is most important. How do we really ensure that connection is there? We are able to connect, we are able to feel, and we are able to touch. So question, will go to all the panelists, that how the technology is actually creating an impact to connect the workforce. We have seen some of the technology and some of the tools, they are just one side of the technology. They never talk about the human touch or human touch kind of things not created over there. Okay, maybe over a period of time they must have created. Followed by, you like to share some of the views that why do we need such kind of alignment and how does it serve the purpose? Because technology is technology. Do we really need to create a human touch over there? I repeat the question, how technology is creating a connect with the workforce? What is the impact? Why do we need such kind of alignment? What the purpose is it's going to serve? So let me start with Dharma.
Thanks, Ashish. I think it is a very insightful question and very, very relevant kind of thing. I will just give you one example and very interesting kind of example. Last year when the pandemic actually struck, okay, and a larger section of the workforce, because I handled the manufacturing part of the Hero MotoCorp, they were sitting at the home, okay. There are 3-4 kind of things, how we are engaging them, how we are also ensuring that their well-beings. And there are certain people who are the migratory workforce. We knew this thing after a certain period of time when we are going to resume. So how we are going to ensure that they remain with us. Okay, these are 3 aspects, and that's why we found the thing how we can approach to them. And instantly the idea came to our mind that technology can be the one of the way where we can actually connect, we can engage with them, we can ensure their well-beings, and we can also ensure that they are not migrating back to their native place, they are remaining with us. So the various kind of the platform took place. So for example, the Google Meet, Zoom, or many of the variety of the kind of things. And over the period of time, say around the 60 days time, we have been able to conduct actually the 2 programs for 30,000 workers. You can understand this figure 60,000 times. We actually to 60,000 2 times means the 60,000 people were actually being touched, and not only the kind of things, their family members also. Because what we realized, this thing previously, suppose that we are conducting any program for the COVID related. It was previously when we are conducting in our premises, it is only for that very employee. Now we were able to approach to their family members, and we were taking the live questions, and we were able to address their concerns. So my universe size has all on sudden exploded like this one. So my universe size has become around 1,50,000. Okay, and when we found this thing that this is working for us, we are able to engage our employees. We are assuring their well-beings. We are not assuring the physical well-beings. We are assuring their mental well-beings also. At the same time, we are also able to understand who are where and where they have a stuck up. Do they require any kind of the help? So another thing, like this thing, say this, for example, when we are trying to understand this thing, okay, because we were trying to just to follow the government of India norms, so people should not migrate, people should remain agitated, where they are. That is the meaning of the complete meaning of the lockdown. So how we were ensuring this thing, we asked to send them to their Google locations. Okay, so that's where you see the technology was becoming one of the enablers for us to connect back with our employees, engage with them, and to understand their concerns, and to also ensure their well-being. That was the one part of the kind. That was about the care, connect, and something like everything, what our organizational philosophy is like. Second, what we also realized this thing, that how we can actually become much and more effective during this very period of time. Can be our dependence upon the many of the manual systems can be moved to digitize and to have to real-time understanding the things. And we actually did a lot of intervention in that very space, and we found that that our effectiveness have increased. So those are my own experiences in this period of time, and I found this thing that has worked very well, and that is still working because your entire ecosystem has now moved to off and on system. Sometimes you are working full, sometimes you are working partial, sometimes you are not working. That's the way that it is operating. But when this operation is happening, your end objective is still being met out. And in that very connect, if you see the thing from the consumer point of view, the connect is also not only for with your employee consumer point of view. The people don't want to go to the market. People don't want to visit your showroom. People don't want to visit your dealership. How we are going to connect? So we created the entire virtual dealership where you can come, you can see the product, you can experience the product, you can feel the product. And then the contactless delivery is happening. And that is happening only due to technology. So I'm not touching the other aspect, how much it has reduced the carbon footprint, how much it has helped the people to move, to remain in the safe and secured environment. I'm just touching the human aspect of how the technology actually is enhancing, allowing you to leverage your potential. So that's all from my side.
Thank you, Dharma. It's some there is a echo. Dharma, you like to check the audio? Hello. Yeah. Okay. Thanks. So yes, it's a need of the hour, and would like to hear from Sakar. And another thing, it remind me, why do we, more touchy and glued to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, more than our own internal organization platforms, right? We like to interact in one, but we don't like to interact in the platform which is owned built by the organization or buying it. It's engagement tool is one of them. We can spend more time on Facebook, but we cannot spend more time on the tool which is actually developed or brought by the organization for our own workforce. Sakar, your views on this connect and alignment?
Definitely. So Ashish, I will touch on the subject with a slight twist to it. And I want to talk about the need of technology by companies today to actually connect with their workforce at a philosophical level. Why do companies have to become tech and digitized to able to appeal to the imagination of their employees is what I want to talk. And this actually comes back to the point that you were making about today's workforce being on the social media and living those platforms, but maybe shying away from the platform that companies have grown on their own. So to make my point, I'll talk about the business shift or the disruption that we are seeing in business models around us. If we see, the largest cab company today doesn't own a car. World's largest accommodation provider doesn't own any real estate. World's largest retailer keeps no inventory. And what is interesting is the proliferation. All these companies have multiple competitors, and even these competitors are thriving. So if I put all this together, what is common in this is a customer's need for options, flexibility, ease of consuming the service, and getting it much cheaper than what was being offered in the more traditional models. Customers are asking for lesser cost and time per transaction, but at the same time, they're asking for enhanced security with the right authentication and identification. So in short, every business today is becoming a software business. Now, what is interesting is that the customer who wants this service, in all likelihood, is also the company's employee who's developing this offering. And that is why every company today needs a dynamic, digital, and a multicultural workforce. I call them, these are very rare species, and I have a name for them. I call them digital natives. And to connect with these digital natives today and to appeal to their imagination, companies need a digitized interface, right from identifying, attracting, onboarding, growing, leveraging, and even exiting this talent. And that is where technology that the company adopts creates a connect with their workforce and keeps that connection at different stages of an employee life cycle.
Okay, thanks. Thank you so much. Digital native is, digital mindset, and attention span became very less. Okay, Harjeet is one of the best, I would call it the presenter and the experienced guy who will tell us, how the technology really touching human being. Do we really need to have a human touch element over there? Sir, over to you.
So nothing works without human touch. Even technology also doesn't work without human touch. It is about how we perceive value. I will tell you a story. So I had a training head in my Tata days when I joined. It is 96, 97 I'm talking about. So that time, internet was a cool thing. So he ordered a book online. And it was a costly book. Means that time he ordered it for somewhere around 10,000 bucks. And what he got in return was a passcode. They said, open the website, put the passcode, you can read it. And this guy was furious. He said, Kitab bhejo, I need the book. The guy replied, you are interested in knowledge or you are interested in paper? Now, that was one question which puzzled him, although he fought for that book in the hardcover to be kept in library. Point is how we perceive value. Is somebody saying feel nahi aata hai. So online ke saath, that is the problem. You don't get the feel. Another important piece is we were talking about just now. We were talking about that there are organizations which have started digitally. So there are traditional organizations which are there for ages, and then like organizations like Uber, Ola, Airbnb, Urban Company, Swiggy, Zomato, Coursera, thousands of them, they have come in. The difference between their approaches, they have started digitally. And very soon, these organizations are going to compete with the traditional organizations. You know how they are connecting people? If we understand that, we will understand how traditional organizations can actually change their processes to meet those needs. One is my time. You talk to any of these employers, they give option in their app that at your time you operate. So whenever you want to switch, so there is no 9 to 5 job. You want to work in night, work in night. You want to work in day, you want to switch off for 4 hours, it's okay. Second is, I saw a 60-year driver driving a cab. I asked him, boss, what happened? Why are you driving cab? So he said, I got retired, but my responsibilities did not retire. These guys just looked at my license and they said, if I can drive, I can drive. They did not look at my age. You're seeing the difference between a traditional organization and the new age organization. They are not even caring about what it is based on skills, not on education, not on those artificial criteria we initially created. Third is, you get timely payments. Whatever you see, if you're working in any other organization. So people say every week I get a payment. That monthly cycle which we instituted in India, now that is getting changed to a weekly cycle of payment. Then I met a lady who was driving cab. I asked her, how come you are driving cab? So she said, she was with Meru. She said, these guys came to me, they taught me how to drive. And now I am able to run my own home. She was a widow. She lost her husband. Now, if you see Urban Company, it does the same thing. It provides training to people. And what people like is building expertise. So here, even though they are building expertise and providing technical interface, they are giving a sense to people that, yeah, you can do something in your life, you can earn. And you can trust this platform, this technology, that if you're seeing that you are going to get 5,000 rupees, you are going to get 5,000 rupees. You get feedback from the customers online, which tell you, you are not doing this right. People need that feedback, but not through a boss who tells them with a pinch of salt and with a tone. Here, you are directly seeing how I can improve my thing. Another important piece, and this is the last piece, so you should not grow impatient. I asked a guy who was driving Uber, why do you drive Uber? He said, sir, I was a farmer in a village in MP. But I've come here. It is not that there is too much money in this profession. I was making similar amount of money in village also. But thing is, now when I go to village, everyone respects me. If you see, most of the professions which were looking for respect, connecting with technology gives you respect from people. And that is how technology works. So that is how I see how technological organizations are influencing needs of people. And that is something which is going to drive corporate India also through these soft factors.
That's true. That's true. So yes, Harjeet, thank you so much. And in a personal experience, I'd like to share before I hand over to Mary. Like we order pizza, right? You can see online pizza is actually where the pizza is. Okay, where the pizza, the guy who's going. We book the ticket. We can see which seats we can book it, right? Even with the in the online shopping order, also you can see where is your shipment and all this. You can easily track. But when it comes to the organization, suddenly, and it is the same set of people who develop all this app. And then it is the same set of people who may not like to look at the human touch while developing some kind of, this kind of tool. Like, okay, before joining, can I choose my workplace where I'm going to sit? These are the 1, 2, 3 seats available for me. Just like, I go to book the movie ticket. I can see the corner one, middle one, the first, second, last. Likewise, maybe it's a wish list, but let's see. Mary, so Mary is coming from Zozode. Mary is a dynamic business leader connecting to the industry. She know the pinpoint of the things. Mary would like to hear some kind of customer experience. You touch upon a little bit on impulse also. How this connection and alignment can really work.
Sure. Thank you, Ashish. And I think I'll take cues from all the three of them, Sakar, Harjeet, and Dharm. So starting off with what Dharm said, I mean, humans have evolved over the years, right? But what has not changed is that we'll continue to remain social. The only difference is today's generation, which is a huge part of our workforce, is more social than what we were. And by more social, I don't mean you go out and physically meet everyone every time, but you want to have the Facebook-like experience, Instagram-like experience. And that is what drives them, because they want to be always on their digital devices. So what can organizations do to create that? The old intranet probably, or the old email method, I'm not saying it's not relevant today, it still is. But that is not connecting people. It's just giving them important information, which sometimes people tend to ignore. But when you bring a Facebook-like experience to the office and you're telling people, hey, you know what, post your experiences, talk about your adventures you've done during the weekend, or let's have a discussion around what should be the new goals for the company. What we are doing is telling people you have to continue to remain social, because even at work, it is still people. It's not just machines here. So the human element is still there. We want you to bring that human element to work, and technology is going to enable that. How? For example, in Impulse, you have a capability called a social intranet, which means all the things you do on Facebook, like posting a video, sharing an image, or commenting on someone's image, or saying a hi-fi to someone, it becomes that much more easier. And it's not just that, right? Let's say you went on a break for a week. Now you want to know what are the exciting things you've missed. So in Facebook, you have this big news feed that comes up. So, when the company also provides a similar news feed, employees feel like I've never lost touch, and they don't even have to wait for the end of the vacation, right? While they're on vacation, their mobile app lets them view all of that information whenever they have like 15 minutes, half an hour to go through. That's the first thing. Second thing is, there are two stories I wanted to share about how this social connection at work really helped people outside of work. So during COVID, we realized that there was a shortage of, one is beds, one is medicines, and also understanding where these things are available, right? And a lot of employees and their families were going through these problems, and they didn't know whom to approach and ask for this information. So companies realized that, you know what, each of us has different points to share in terms of information, assistance and contacts. So how do we come together, form a support group? And that's what happened on Impulse. In the social intranet, there was a community group created for COVID support, where, let's say, if I have someone who's looking for a bed in the hospital, it's not available in my area. Maybe Harjeet knows someone in his vicinity that, okay, this hospital has a couple of beds and I've spoken to them, they're willing to take admission of this patient. So I'm connecting them in the work group, but it has nothing to do with work. It has to do with our families, our friends, our connections. And all of this again becomes part of the bigger family that's supporting each other. So we got great response because it was not just at Zozo Day that we did this, but a lot of our customers who have adopted the platform followed a similar approach for their employees. And the second example I'd like to quote is where we had, let me see. We had these connects that we used to have, like in the physical office, we used to have Friday Connect. For example, all the teams are having fun. They're probably stopping all of their work and connecting to play a game or to interact with each other. Now, how do we make that possible when everyone is working from their hometown, not even in the same city? They're working from different hometowns. So what one of the companies did is they organized a 4-hour virtual event where they gave a heads up, let's say a week ahead, and said, okay, these are the things that we have. There is a photo competition going on. There is, let's say, a competition around who can talk about a certain topic, and so on and so forth. And the best part was all of this turned into a competition where you had to like something, you had to like someone's photo or a video. And eventually we realized that the engagement that happens over the course of 6 months happened in a period of 4 hours. There was so much engagement happening between people, and everyone was participating at that time. And again, they were not in the same room, they were not in the same city, but that was made possible by technology. So how do we make sure that one, people remain connected, is by choosing the right platform that lets you keep the human touch intact, even though it's for work purposes. Now, the second question you had was about alignment. So how do we make sure that employees, especially when we were working remote, still remember that we are working towards a common goal? Still remember that their contribution is valued because whatever work they do adds up to the bigger picture. So one is, through discussions. Two is, how do we make sure that everyone knows what are the different sales wins that are happening? Let's say we acquired a customer and the effort was put in by 10 people, highlighting that in that social network. And third thing is, how do we communicate about our goals every time that we set them? Make sure we take everyone's opinion, send out small polls so that each one has a say in what the company is doing at the top level. And everyone feels that they are connected to that vision or that goal that is being set at the top. So those are my 2 cents for the connection and alignment elements, Ashish. So I think we had great insights for everyone. Let's keep it going. Over to you.
Thank you so much, Mary. So nicely summarized. Connection is very much important. End of the day, no doubt. But fine, organization is being connected or people are being connected. Are they really motivated or not? There is a next question come to us, right? Are we providing some kind of empowerment? I can say delegation through the technology, right? Even to myself, okay, it's very simple. Can I change my face while I'm logging to organization app? I have seen many avatar, being given for a people to choose those on the social media platform. Okay, but when we come to the organization, we come with the mindset, no, your face should be just like your face. Okay, why not somebody else face the cartoon character, the various different kind of, because see, you need to create engagement. I'm just touching some point. Let me go to panelists now. This time random sequence will be there. Okay, so let me start with Harjeet. So Harjeet, here I'm talking about empowerment and motivation. Do you really think it can create, if yes, it can create, can it lead to some kind of ROI? Can it lead to hyper personalization? Can it lead to higher engagement? What's your views on the motivation and empowerment through the technology?
We are beating too much of technology. Point is, it is your culture which determines whether motivation will be there or not. Like you were talking about, people don't talk on internal platforms. But it is the fear in the minds of people because of which people don't talk on internal platforms, because somebody will be judging them. And point is, on Facebook also, if you're talking something, people are judging you, but you don't mind because they can't do anything about you. Means even if they don't like, what will they do? They can't dislike, they can ignore. But within the organization, people have a sense, if someone doesn't like what my opinion is, then something may happen. And that insecurity of what that something is, lot of things don't happen in the organization, especially on platforms. So people are hesitant. Second is, look, when WhatsApp came, there were more users of WhatsApp than whatever Google was providing or whatever Facebook was providing. The reason was WhatsApp was not linking itself to mail. It was linking itself to phone number. It provided an ease. So moment your platform is easy to use, then people go for it. People say, "Ha, yahi use karna hai." Means it is not that they say yahi use karna hai. They find it easy to use. Kya, हाँ, ठीक है. This is way of life. Third is, in the market there are so many platforms, and you have a choice whether I want to do LinkedIn, whether I want to do Twitter, whether I want to do WhatsApp, or whether I want to do say HR Shapers, I want to participate, or I want to go somewhere else. In organization, how many different platforms you have? So when people don't have choice and you try to tell them this is what you have to do, nobody likes to be told what the person is supposed to be doing. And that is one of the reasons people say, "Acha, theek hai." So the best we can do is let's ignore that platform. How you can motivate and empower your people? Look, business grows when your people have right flow of information. They are able to see the numbers which matter to them. So if you're able to provide those numbers to them, if you're open and transparent with them, then people appreciate that. Empowerment is what? Like for an Uber driver, how can Uber empower a driver? They empower a driver. One is choose your own time. Okay, that's great. That is one empowerment. Second is, you can decline a customer. If there is a call coming to you, you can decline that. I don't want to take this customer. And third is, you can actually do rating of your customer rather than customer only rating you. That is also empowerment. Now, this empowerment has not come by putting a platform. Somebody sitting behind is thinking that this is how I can empower people. This is how I can motivate all those people who design incentives in HR. That this is why my work will come back again. For the video game designers which do that kind of stuff, that okay, for the points you will come back again, or for your badge you will come back again, or you have left something in between, or your ratings of your friends. How many times we publish, okay, you are doing this particular job and you are 5th in the company or 4th in the company and your rating is going up or down. हमको तो means it is like you have to look at annual appraisal to figure out whether the person is doing something. Here we are talking about moment by moment where the person is moving. That is where technology is going to take us, that every day you get to know that how you are doing, and based on your customer feedback, not on the whims and fancies of your manager.
True, true. Ajit, thank you so much. And it it's it's made me thinking, and I will go to Sakar that are we really getting too much into privacy, the data security and the breach and all, motivation, empowerment? Yes, it's needed, but it's technology. If it is touching some of the thing, it is touching everything just like that.
So, Harjeet made a great point. See, end of the day, it's us human beings who are using this technology, right? This technology is generating a lot of data. Okay, we need to convert that data into meaningful information and then use that information to make decisions in an unbiased manner. And that is where the transparency and the lack or the elimination of bias that comes because of technology is what also creates a lot of empowerment in an organization, and especially with the employees. So, and Harjeet talked about, annual appraisal and how people would get one appraisal at the end of the year, and for the entire year, it will be a suspense. And then suddenly a manager will sit with you and tell you your rating, and then both the individuals will not agree on it, right? Because for 12 months, they were not talking. Now bring it to technology, and I'll relate it to more of learning and growth for a person, which provides you career growth. So let's take examples of technology in HR learning that has come in, and how that technology coming into HR learning is providing motivation to people and empowerment. Motivation in the sense because they can now learn new skills which they earlier could not. They can start and they can move careers across tracks, whichever way they wanted. And now because this platform gives you a transparent rating of your specialization and your skill, you are empowered with the knowledge, which earlier was based on a manager's whims and fancies, right? So today what's happening is, if we talk about some of the learning platforms which are there, in the tech space, these platforms, they align with the organization's job architecture. And if we pick a specific specialization, as employees move up the ladder, they need to acquire more and more expertise in the skills related to that specialization. These platforms offer trainings in those skills, which again, an employee can consume at their own pace, anytime, anywhere. These platforms even offer assessments in those skills and offer a percentile score, which is based on the scores of everyone around the world who has taken that assessment so far. So with their AI-powered algorithms, they even offer individually curated learning paths for folks who are looking to pick additional skills. And these platforms also offer virtual rooms where folks who are interested in a specific skill can meet each other, exchange ideas, and learn from each other. Now, with this level of transparency, flexibility, and connectivity, employee knows where they stand. They can plan their own development, learning, and growth, and hence create a community of practice for them. Now, tell me, can there be a bigger empowerment than letting an employee plan and grow their career? And all this only because we have technology today, which is making things very transparent and eliminating bias out of judgment.
Thank you, Sakar. You being from technology, so you're touching very important point. More than actually the feeling of the engagement and the touchy thing. Okay, can we really bring the employee development and the career path also in this? The entire framework. Mary, this can be very good insight. That okay, it's fine to have engagement, but how can really touch into talent development, talent management, right? Great point.
So I just make one more point. And this is what I tell our employees every time, that none of us come to work to do social service, right? We come there because we want to earn a living, and to earn that living, we also want to become more marketable. And companies which make us more marketable, once again, with in a more transparent manner, are the ones who will retain their employees. And for that comes the whole motivation and empowerment. This is which is automatically and easily passed to the employees through technology. Sorry, Mary, I didn't want to interrupt your thoughts.
I will go to Mary anyway before I need to go to Dharma. Sakar, coming back to your point, I have never seen such a tool within the organization. Okay, nothing good or bad, but okay, you get a appreciation certificate, right? Can it give a link? Okay, share in social media. I yet to see that. Okay, it may come. Some of the tool might have. Okay, you got a appreciation certificate from your manager, CEO, like quarterly and all those. So that kind of journey has also be there. We have seen in social media openly. Okay, you can share in multiple platform, right? Dharma, you are from automobile, driverless car we are talking about. Okay, which also create a good kind of engagement, and you are from two-wheeler automobile industry, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure whether driverless motorbike will also be there, where person will be sitting in just in the back of the motorcycle and it will run. Okay, that's on the lighter note. Please share your views on the motivation and this empowerment part.
First question, Ashish. Nothing is impossible at this very age. Okay, who has thought of like the SpaceX will going and coming back, and the one we are going to open up the space tourism. Okay, we have always thought like in the space someone will go in the astronaut, not the some kind of tourism will start taking place. And when we talk about the connected strategy, let me bring out that very piece of the discussion here. So connected strategy is not only about the empowerment and motivation, but what is the meaning of empowerment? Somewhere I was hearing Harjeet was mentioning about the choice, correctly. When you have the choice to make either yes or no, then you are really empowered. When you don't have a choice, you are not empowered. Let's take an example. I get a meeting invite. Okay. On the say Zoom or the link or the Google Meet or any kind of the platform, there are 3 buttons comes. Yes, no, maybe. The choices are being given to you. Okay, that's the beauty of the technology. Previously, what was happening in the physical setup, I used to get a call, boss bula raha hai, and you have to go. Okay, so you don't have a choice of telling you, think, sorry, I can't come, I am busy or something like it. But think, of course, you can go and narrate this kind of to your boss, I was busy in something, I will, so this is not the right time. At the same time, the flip side. And the flip side is a digital dexterity. In the late of the night, you are getting a call. Okay, let's come on. I have sent you the link. Let's come on the link. Because now what is happening, the other side, the flip side of like everything, many of the people who are working from the home, what is the outcome of their work? The meetings. Meetings are the measurement scale. How many meetings I have conducted, by which they are actually measuring their performance. So for them, it's okay to have a meeting at any point of time, at any setting. But another side of like this thing, the flip side of the entire thing, empowerment. When I am working from home, I can come in any kind of attire. Okay, most of the time, I am doing the polo neck t-shirt and I am doing all the kind of the meetings. Okay, because it is work from home, so I need to be in the relaxed kind of the environment. So it's a choices what we are making it. Okay, and the variety of the choices. So I am not going in that way debate what is making me empowered at this juncture and why and what is not making us. Because still we have not matured enough. We are still just have began the journey. And the journey, and in that very stage, let's not evaluate where we have reached. Okay? Because we have just touched a couple of the milestones. And I realize this thing that the kind of the say most conservative organization, that was the educational organizations, all the academic organizations, they overnight shifted to the digital platform. Their classes have become online. And that I have never seen this thing, never expected in my life that this academic world will actually be moving. And that's why the entire things will be actually getting converted. And that's why the US workforce actually very, very exposed to this kind of digital environment. But what is also helping me to keep my employee motivated? And how I'm just keeping my employee motivated? Because through this kind of a technological advancement, we have filled up the gap of the distance and the time. I found that someone from the Egypt, they are also participating. Someone from other country also participating in this way discussion. Okay. Imagine the setup when we used to have the physical setup. Was it possible that for an hour meeting, I am flying from the Gurgaon and the Harjit is flying from Mumbai to a common place? Okay. That has actually been breached by this kind of a technological. And that is also bringing our variety of the audience together. And if you see in the organization, that has become possible. Today, I want to have a town hall. Okay. Previously, there used to have a lot of the setup and other kind of things. Today, the only one link. And I know I even is able to touch the last person of the pyramid. That is a contractual level. I can also have a communication with them and direct communication. They are hearing directly from me, and they can also in turn give a question back to me. That is the benefit of the kind of thing. So the couple of things I just want to bring it here. The digital innovations or this kind of the technological advancement is giving us transparency, speed, connect, but what is the from the human side, what we are losing it right now? That has to be also be somewhere to touch, because someone I found this thing that someone has mentioned a question here, whether it is a boon or bliss. Let's understand this thing. What is the emotions of the human being that is being considered? My feel level is being considered in the digital world. My empathy is being seen in the digital world. Okay, because when you meet with a person in person, you can understand. I will give you another example in the HR. We have moved to HR automations and a great work which has happened over time. Previously, when the increment letters were handed over to the employee in person by the boss, and that was a time when you actually see the actual reaction of the employee, because he is in the natural self. He's not wearing any kind of the mask. Today, the digital letter goes, and whether the employee is happy, not happy, satisfied, not satisfied, what kind of the feelings he has, there is no meaning. That has lost somewhere. So while we are developing all sort of things. At the same time, we need to understand a couple of the things. We should not allow the emotion to die, the empathy to go away, and the feel level of the person needs to be understood by the organization. That's where we can keep our employees motivated and aligned to the larger purpose.
Thanks, Dharma. Yes, letter goes, and sometime someone letter goes to someone else. Very rare chances, but imagine that happen, and that actually happen as well. Okay, coming to Mary Madhvi Reddy from Zozode AVP Content. Your views on motivation empowerment. How does technology really help? Give us the industry overview. What the industry viewpoint when they reach out to you? Do they really look for this kind of format and factor?
Yes, Ashish, you're actually asking a very focused question now. So when we look at both those points, empowerment and motivation, how does technology really enable that? So let's take up empowerment. Okay. Now, if we come back to the topic of the pandemic, now before the pandemic, the topic of whether people or organizations can allow their employees to work from home was always debatable. And even though requests would come to HR never felt empowered to take it to the leadership and say, hey, so many employees are asking for it. Can we at least think about it? But the pandemic came. We didn't have a choice. We all moved to remote working, except for a few industries that couldn't afford to do it. And now that the pandemic is slowly easing out, we are moving into a new phase. And the phase right now is called the hybrid work phase. And today, again, the ball is in the court of HR. How do we take, employees to the next phase? But today, HR is empowered. I'm just taking HR as an example, but this can apply again to everyone in the company. So HR today has a lot of data out there. A lot of those big research companies are coming up with information saying, okay, this is what employees around the world are talking. This is what companies are doing when they are coming up with hybrid work strategy. These are the kind of tools they're leveraging to execute their hybrid work strategy. So today, HR is empowered with a lot of data, which they didn't feel before. Why? Because one change was, just enough for them to realize that there is a lot of empowerment in data, in technology, and in how they can voice their opinion, voice their thoughts in front of the leadership, or take back data to the employees themselves and say, hey, these are our ideas. Now use this survey tool, come back to us with what you think. And then I'll take data, solid data to make decisions, not just, my intuition or someone's opinion to take a decision. That's empowerment. Now, taking empowerment to every aspect of work, someone talked about bias. I think Sakar and Harjeet talked about bias. So that's a very crucial thing. How do we eliminate bias from everything? And that is made possible only when there is technology in place and when you're making that technology available to everyone. For example, the second point we're going to talk about is about motivation. So let's say you put the tool only in the hands of the manager. The manager is probably going to look at certain aspects when they are trying to recognize someone or award someone. But if you take the new age technology, which actually allows democratic recognition, which means everyone in the company is allowed to recognize each other. So nobody has to wait for the manager to recognize. Every employee, every peer, every colleague can go ahead and recognize and award each other. So what are we doing? We're removing bias entirely. But what technology also can't do is it cannot bring the human part unless you add it to technology, right? So moving to the next part, which is motivation. So why did motivation suddenly become so important? Was it there before? Was it not there? It was always there. But the way it was executed seemed very traditional, right? You would wait for the end of a quarter or the end of a year for an all hands meeting to actually call someone and say, hey, your manager said you've done a great job because we've got so many, dollars of savings. So here, this is the award for being an amazing performer. But what about the other 4 people who helped him get there? Did they get the recognition? And what if that recognition is coming a year too late? Which means there are 20 people who could have done the same brilliant work if they had known that that kind of work will give them recognition, right? So motivation here is touching on some critical aspects. First one is the motivation timely? Is it happening exactly after you deliver something amazing or you've shown brilliant behavior at work? Second, is it frequent? Does it have to be timed? For example, you just get 1 recognition per month, but I don't stop being an amazing employee, right? I probably deliver every week amazing things. So why am I being stopped at, 1 recognition per month? Make it frequent. Maybe one manager can recognize me only once, but 10 of my colleagues can do it 10 times a month. And third one, removing bias. How do we put recognition in everyone's hands so that they feel empowered to call out everybody's brilliant efforts? Then the last point we talked about earlier was the social recognition. I think Ashish, you brought that up. So today everyone knows about Abhinav Bindra, right? But the work that, let's say, I do at my company, nobody knows outside my company. So I think taking it socially means that making everyone's contribution, irrespective of whichever company you work for, making it known to your friends, to your family, to your connections, and getting that same level of visibility across your connections. I think that's what we are moving towards in the next phase. And especially when we talk about how culture, values, and goals, come into motivation. So unless you don't have the culture of motivation, you don't have the values clearly to be exhibited in the workplace, you are not going to tell employees, okay, if you do this, for example, if you do great teamwork, I'm going to recognize you. Then people will not know that, right? You're going to tie your recognition to your values, tie your goals to your recognition. That is when employees know exactly what to recognize. So you're removing bias out of the entire equation. So that's my take on it. And that's how I think today's technology is making it possible, especially Impulse, that, touch on recognition. And a more crucial part is rewards, where we are giving the choice back to the employee and saying, here, this reward is not just the mug, the umbrella that you used to get before. It's about you go take your family on a vacation, or you go sign up for tabla classes because that's your passion, or you take a card for fuel because you are a travel bug. So putting the choice, giving them the delightful moment that they're going to remember forever. And that's what technology is enabling.
Thanks, Mary. I think you touched on various points, and I would like to pick up some of them. See, social media bringing us together. Many of us connected only through social media. Many have met up, right, physically and one-to-one basis. So why not this method and application can be adopted in the organization? Why not, one person of HR can easily connect with the technology, finance guy, procurement guy, and the finance guy and all, right? Vice versa in this way. So with the informed choice, because social media tell you, okay, who are you, what you have done last week, what you have done, how much you are active, inactive, and all this, correct? That's one point. Thank you, Mary. And yet, timely recognition, gratification, instant gratification, it build up the motivation, no doubt. I like to ask quick question before we run one poll to all the panelists. Just keep it very short answer. We must have heard about the Modometer, right? How many of do you think, does it really work? Because it immediately captures the data what your workforce is filling. And do you really take the action? What Mary is talking about, the data. See, we have huge data. HR is a huge data. What do we do with the data? How much time we spend in the analysis? Quick views. Anybody like to start?
So Ashish, can I go?
Yes.
So Modometer was developed by one of the Wharton professor, and he was my professor also when I was doing the Wharton study. So it works really wonderful. Immediately, instantly, you come to know what's happening, what the mood of the organization. Sometimes back, I am just telling you a different kind of things. Most of the organization has switched to the face reader kind of attendance system. The morning, when the people come and when they show the face, by this facial recognition, you can identify the thing about what is the mood of the people. But again, the question here, the big question: are you snooping them? Are you entering into their privacy domain? So that's the question we need to ask, and we need to solve it. Because say this thing, my mood is something, my mood. And this young age workmen don't want to reflect it like a thing, the organization, how much the organization should interfere into my personal life. That's the way.
Yeah. Sakar, Ajit.
Ashish, I have used Modometer in both the ways. One is tech-wise, looking at the faces of the people. Like right now, you're looking happy to me, so Modometer will tell me that you are happy. But if Modometer has to predict Dharam, so it will tell neutral. And what happens is, when you get 80% neutral, then actually you can't take any action. You don't know what to do. That is first problem. Second problem is, I tried that with, say, a small group of people, say around 50 people, and I started asking them. This was an experiment I was running. How do you feel? What you have to do is, you have to make a smiley that you are happy, not happy. What is your mood? The thing is, people started making those smileys. But when you go into interpretation of those smileys, you don't know that when a person is saying, I am sad, the person is sad because I am not able to do my work in time. That is why I am sad. So people have different interpretations for their mood. So it is like that you are throwing something in the dark. So it still needs lot of work before you start making decisions based on this data. This is good indicative data that you know, okay, something is happening here, you need to focus on this area. But it is not conclusive if you are thinking of using it.
Yeah, Ajit, and I have seen some organization they disable the modometer link after appraisal. Sakar, your views on modometer? Then
No,
I
I completely agree with what Harjeet said. See, this is evolving technology, and for us to be able to use this technology to make decisions, it still needs to go a long way. As they say, little knowledge is a dangerous thing. Right now, some of these technologies are very nascent and in a very native stage, and they are not ready uh, for making decisions in the real world space. I would say that way. And I think we should use that in a in a pilot stage, in some space wherein we keep seeing results, we see what the errors are, where the errors are coming, we feed information back into them. See, eventually, whatever we build is based on data, and how do we keep making the data more accurate is what comes out of any of these algorithms. So these are good starts. These are all good toys to play with right now, but they still remain toys. They are not at a place wherein they can replace human beings and make decisions on behalf of human beings.
And Sakar, we are so subconscious even after going through such kind of data which is connected with the feeling and emotion. We still try to see, okay, that guy was happy, but why it is not showing happy? Oh, vice versa, because and that's how the human being here. Okay, thank you so much. We have last question answer session. I'm looking at the timing. I will see what can be done because I want to take some question. We have a great audience. 130 people joined. Right now we have 100 people, 110. Zozo Day team, are we ready for a poll? Yes, so poll is appearing on your screen. This is directly giving the okay, yes, people are responding. Great. The question is, are you looking for employee engagement platform? Single choice, yes, no, maybe. So this is just a kind of, checking out how many of you having a platform. Okay, it's moving very fast. Great. Okay, so yeah, so here is the answer coming percentage wise 53% people in the session saying yes, they are looking for. It's going down 52, 20, 19, 18% saying no, maybe 27%. Fine. Thank you so much for selecting your choice, giving us your opinion. Great. Virtual tourism. Somebody talk about the virtual tourism. I have seen some of the country they started during the COVID. You cannot go to the place. I will show you the place. Likewise, I have seen one of the e-commerce company, retail company. They said, okay, uh, here is your face. They will give you okay, upload your photo, and you can choose the dress you want, and you will look like you wear the dress. So you get the feeling actually, how do I look in the dress? Even the dress may be of any country, any location. And this is actually there in the mall also. I have seen in some of the mall where you be there in front of the screen, you will see without wearing the dress, you can see how you look like. So this kind of experience is actually taking a place and all. Great. The last question quickly, I want each one of the panelists, four of you to just less than 60 seconds. It's more to do with the culture and employee experience. Are we ready? Is leadership is ready? How much time? Who has to do this? Whose buying is needed? Lot of question connected to the culture and buying part. What do we do? uh, can I start with Sakar? Quick views.
Sure, Ashish. I'll keep it very short in the interest of time. Uh, Culture is a very big word, and creating a culture by design is the toughest thing. Culture, in many companies, it gets created by accident, but creating a culture by design is a very tough thing. So I'll not make it sound easy, and I'll not pretend that I have all the answers. But in case of tech, and especially in HR, experiencing is believing. So an honest attempt can be made towards creating a culture of tech. And as I said in the beginning, by creating a digitized employee lifecycle, right from identifying, attracting, onboarding, growing, leveraging, and God forbid, even exiting the talent. So, so that is what I would say. It is culture is also very closely tied to the employee experience. So, tied back to the whole changing business model, which is changing the kind of people that we hire. But today we need to relate it so that employees have an experience and partnership which is as oriented as we have it towards our customers. So in a sense, basic tenets remain the same. Companies need an engaged set of employees to win and retain loyal customers. How we do it with technology has changed. And I will only end by saying that use artificial intelligence, aka technology, to augment cognitive intelligence and not to replace it.
Thank you, Sakar. Mary, few views on this culture and employee experience.
Sure, Ashish. So I think Sakar covered most of it, but what I would say is that in order to make experience come out and elevate experience, you really need to have a few things in place. One is, do you have a value system? Two is, what is the vision that the leadership has in terms of how they display those values at work? And that forms the basis of your culture. And third thing is, experience is not just delivered here by technology, but it's delivered by every person who is coming to work. Every person that an individual employee is going to touch across their life. And what HR is then able to do is understand, do you really want to invest in that, creating that experience so that the experience becomes consistent, so that I don't have to give a different experience versus another person a different one. So technology will enable that if you have some of the basic things in place, like the foundation in place. That will be my take on this.
Dharma?
So I see it a little bit differently, because with the advancement of the technology, everything has been democratized. So organizations have become much more vulnerable. Okay, and this vulnerability has actually given the opportunity to organization to relook its culture, the tenet of the culture, the values of your kind of things, because what you preach, you need to practice the same thing. Okay, the first thing which is I find the thing, there's a shift, fundamental shift. And now, when the organization are becoming vulnerable, the leadership is becoming vulnerable. This vulnerability is also increasing what kind of the experience the employee are going to have. For example, not only your own employee, your future employee also, or the employee you are aspiring to become, the person who are aspiring to become your employee, their experience also matters. So for example, someone has just come and you have invited them for the recruitment and you have not given the right kind of the experience to them, they can choose any of the social media platform and they can share their own experiences. That's where the entire thing, I find the other side of the technology is also there. And that is helping us. So for example, normally the MD and the CEO, they used to be sitting in their tower, which was the most of the time not being cannot be penetrated. Now they're becoming vulnerable and they want to come back to their own employees, to the digital platform. They want to remain connected with them. But that's where I am finding this thing. It is helping both the way. It is allowing us to move your culture in the right direction, democratizing the entire things. And that's where the organizations are becoming much and more agile. That's my take.
Thank you, Dharma. Harjeet?
I will talk about experience first and then we will get into anything else. So I will take, say, food as a transaction. We eat, that is a transaction. So eating is a basic need. How do you create experience out of it? One is you go to food court in a mall, abhi to khali hote hain, but otherwise it is like stuffed and you don't have a place to sit. You buy something and then you are standing in a corner eating. That is one kind of transaction. What is the experience you are getting here? Actually, you are fulfilling the need. If you go to a fine dining restaurant and they serve you something, you go to, say, Copper Chimney or a reputed restaurant of your choice, there you start enjoying the taste and you say, wow, what an experience. And let me up it a bit. You go to Chokhi Dhani and your experience is like, oh, culture all around. So they are creating a bigger experience for just food. And then the best kebab of my life I had at the kebab factory. in Chennai, outside airport. What that guy told me was, he presented the kebab to me, it was looking good, and then he said, sir, there is a way to eat this kebab. You first have to put it on a roti and then use mint sauce, and after that you have to smell it and then take a bite. My mind was involved, and that is why it was the best. You create experience in this manner. Now, for creating this experience, if you can use technology, great. But for designing experience, don't start with technology. First, create your experiences and then see how you can use technology to enhance them.
Great. Harjit, it remind me some of the organization, they have food app. Okay. Before lunchtime start, you choose your choice of the food. Okay. Choose the timing. You don't need to wait at the counter. Food is ready. Right?
That is solving waiting problems.
Okay.
Not even taste.
And look at the thought process, Sakar Dharma. We don't want to spend time in the queue of the organization initiative, any organization initiative. But when we go out, we are ready to wait for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, half an hour for the same thing, right? So this is how our mindset actually changed. Absolutely. Last 3 minutes, I want to run one video. Then we'll take the closing remark from each one of you. There is one question I will ask before that. Okay, I'm showing Twitter screen. Okay, here it is. Yes. So please look at this video. So this is how life was there. Okay, let's see once again. Yeah. Look at how many things were there on the desktop or, office table. In end of the day, it is just coming into one, perhaps, specs, and that's not the AR, VR we are talking about, right? Yeah. So you will just wear something and everything is there. Tomorrow your mobile may not be needed. That's what people are saying. Mobile may not be needed, right? Thank you so much. One question, last question. Is HR is all about the processes, right? But COVID has realized that, okay, it's about empathy and sympathy as well. People are the assets, right? It's no more the liabilities. Now question comes, okay, are our HR people ready to face, to understand the technology and then relate the human touch over there? I'm directly relating to the topic of the session. Any quick views on this? Are our HR people ready to understand the technology at the same time human touch? The alignment of the both balance has to be there.
I'll go first. I need to drop in like 30 seconds from my next meeting. But I'll again say, yes, the organizations have matured enough, and HR is no exception. HR is ready to embrace this technology. And I'll once again say that we need to use technology to create bandwidth for HR folks so that they can increase their human touch. And that is how I see the value that technology will add for the HR organization. With that, Ashish, I'm sorry, I need to drop. I have a meeting that starts in 30 seconds. But once again, thank you for inviting me.
Thank you,
and thank you, Dharm, Harjit, Mary. It's very nice to hear you and meet all of you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Dharm, HR capabilities, are they ready?
Yes, readiness was always there. And that's why we have transcended the organizations from a conventional organization to a digital organization. Okay. And HR has played I think, a vital role and a beautiful role also. Only thing now, what the challenge before HR to bring that piece of the emotions, empathy, and the value, because when the technology is actually, it should not overshadow the entire human feeling.
Yeah.
That the HR needs to guard.
Great views. Thank you, Harjit.
Why do you underestimate HR people? HR guys are champions. They have good design abilities. They can design experiences. And I can tell you, they understand digital framework also. In fact, nowadays, everyone understands the digital framework. So I don't see any challenge. It is like how organization leadership thinks about how much empowerment they want to give in building these kind of experiences. So it will largely depend upon the openness of the management of the companies or the leadership of the companies, how they want to leverage technology and experience.
Okay, great. Mary, your views?
Yeah, I think last point probably. I think HR is open, not just to digitization, because that makes it look like we are not human. And looking at the space at which HR is investing in technology, for example, for recognition, for rewards, for surveys, it tells us that HR, we tend to forget HR is not human, but it is human, and it is seeing that human connection back to work. And that's why there is an increase in investment for these kind of tools, not just for filing paperwork for HR or removing processes for HR. So I think they are on the right trend, and it's just about how soon they understand the value that they see and how they can go back and translate it to both the company and the leadership.
True, true. One comment came in between that, this has to be, instead of HR, it has to be for management. But let me tell you, and you also agree, all of you, before COVID, HR used to be after management and leadership. Okay, give me HRMS budget, LMS budget, engagement budget, tool, platforms. Leadership didn't care about it to large extent. Today it's other way around, where leadership is coming after HR and saying, okay, how many options we have for LMS, engagement, HRMS, collaboration tools, correct communication tools, right? Great. Nice conversation, Harjeet, Dharam, Mary. Closing remark, anything you like to give a message to our HR community, the people who are there right now, 80 people?
Okay, I'll go first then. So I think to all the HR community out there who are tuned into this call, I would say, explore the Impulse platform. It brings back that human touch. It makes it easy for HR to do a lot of things in probably a fraction of the time. And let's not forget that HR is human, employees are human, and technology should work for us and not the other way around.
Correct. Before Harjeet say, I want everybody to request, read Harjeet book. Harjeet will tell what is the name of the book. Harjeet, closing remark.
And the name of the book is Nothing About Business. So, and the closing remark is exciting times are ahead of us. So be prepared for the exciting times. And like you are right now investing in yourself and listening these talks, do learn digital techniques, do learn tools like design thinking. They are going to help you in the future.
Yeah, yeah. Dharma, I posted a question also in the chat box. Bikerless bike, like driverless car. Okay.
So driverless car, say this thing, already the Apple and the Google have already there in this space. Okay. Sometimes the bike will also come. My closing remarks for the HR fraternity: remain agile, remain vigilant. What's happening around you? Okay. Yes. But at the same time, don't forget you are the custodian of the human values. So technology should not overshadow the human values, the human emotions. Because and you avoid the guard of your organization from the digital dexterity. That is very important.
Correct.
Thanks.
Digital savvy, yes, we are all ready. We have been doing that since last 18 months. Thank you so much, each one of you. I've been posting the link of global webinar of HR Shaper with the global speaker. Please register over there. Great conversation, amazing input, knowledge, and thank you Zozode for supporting this. We have more seminar, more session coming like this on the topic of HR technology, human touch, high tech, and high touch. Thank you, Dharm, Harjeet, Mary, and Zozode team, and all the delegates. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thanks, Dharm, Harjeet, and Ashish. It was a great
Bye.
session. Goodbye.